one of my absolute favorite right-wing leaders in the world, Nayib Bukele, is the leader of El Salvador. He cleaned up crime. He took that country from being the most dangerous country in the world to being one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere. Nayib Bukele just called his cabinet together, and he made a big, important announcement that American conservatives could learn from. I will translate. President Bukele says, in fact, you can see that everyone here is from the executive branch. From the executive branch that I oversee, except for one person, the Attorney General. He's not part of the executive branch. He's here for a simple reason. It's because I want to ask him publicly to investigate everyone sitting here. Retroactively and into the future. I imagine that there should be no problem with that. Someone once asked me, are you afraid of death? I said, of course. No one wants to die. I don't want to die. But I know that I'll die someday like everyone else. Death is the one thing we can't escape. But if there's one thing I fear, it's leaving a bad legacy. For one president, President Duterte, there was a sort of promise. The president isn't a thief. They said he's surrounded by thieves. That won't happen to me. That won't happen to me. So I'm investigating all of you. My closest advisors, I'm going to investigate all of you. That's so important for conservatives to think of, especially as we look forward to 2025. President Trump, best Republican president, best president, period, of my lifetime. But he had some clunkers in the executive branch. It was tough. No one wanted to work for him. They were so afraid of being investigated, of being thrown in jail, of being persecuted by the liberal establishment, that the Trump administration had a hard time hiring people. And so they had some really good people in the executive branch under Trump, but they had some clunkers too. And this is why it's so important that the Trump transition begin right now, because personnel is policy. We're talking about politics here, and we live in a modern liberal age where we think that people are just machines, and we think that computers run the world, and personality doesn't matter, soul and spirit don't matter. We're all just kind of algorithms, beep booping and computing, and we're not. We're not. White papers don't mean a whole lot. The formal text of some regulation or statute, even that doesn't matter all that much. The letter killeth and the spirit giveth life, okay? And personnel is policy. So if you got crooks and losers in your administration, you're done. This is true even of the elected officials. We vote for these guys who say the right thing. They have the right hair. But then the minute they get to Congress, they squish. They don't have the judgment. They don't have the courage to stand up for what we want. Personnel is policy. It's all about people, okay? Politics is all about people. And one of the greatest conservative leaders in the world right now gets it. We should get that too. So this is why I don't really knock Trump when he makes some errant comment about public policy while he's trying to, hit the right line to continue to win votes without selling out conservative principles. I think that's kind of a distraction to me. Did you see the latest Trump Truth Social post? Did you hear the latest Trump? I don't really care. You know what I care? What actually gets done. And you know what determines what actually gets done? The people that Trump puts in charge. We hear, Donald Trump won't pick good judges because, he didn't attend Federalist Society dinners or something like that. Yeah, maybe. But, Trump's not picking the judges himself. Donald Trump has advisors who pick the judges. And in the case of the judges, he picked a good advisor. And then he got good judges. And that's how it works, man. You got to make sure you're surrounded by smart people who are not corrupt. You got to keep a good eye on them. And you got to remember personnel is policy.
Hello, Mr. Knowles. Thank you so much for your show. I'm very curious what you think about the student protests and to what extent you think that the police actions against them is giving them a larger platform, or if it's just something that has to be done. Thank you.
It has to be done in the sense that the liberal elite donors are to these schools are demanding that it be done. It doesn't have to be done as a matter of law and order, because we know that our system of law and order is very corrupt. So if we had a really robust and healthy system of law and order, they would have shut that BLM protest down within a few days. Instead, it raged for 8 months, coast to coast. So no, it wasn't just that our justice system realized this is too dangerous. No, they don't care about that when it serves their liberal political interests. The reason that the police were called in and they arrested 2,000 people is because the liberal donors didn't like the protests because it made them look bad and it threatened their interests. That's what it's about. So I kind of get a kick out of that. Obviously, I feel bad for the students who weren't able to go to class. I feel bad specifically for the Jewish students who were being really directly targeted by the campus intifada. I feel bad for the people who live around these neighborhoods with these schools and they have to deal with these lunatics all the time. I feel for them. But as a political matter, I get a real kick out of it because it's just left-on-left violence. It is just an internal contradiction within the American left working itself out in a very painful way that's very repellent to moderate, normal voters. And so I don't think that the cops coming in with a heavy hand is going to put an end to it. As long as the Gaza war goes on, as long as the IDF might invade Rafah, as long as there's a prospect that this is going to continue, frankly, as long as the Palestinian people don't have their own nation state, but certainly as long as the war is hot, the libs are going to be furious about this because the young leftists view it as just an extension, maybe even the apotheosis of Western colonialism and oppression. And so they call the State of Israel an apartheid state, just like they did to South Africa in the 80s. They accuse the State of Israel of oppressive, white settler colonialism of an oppressed brown people, just like they do to Americans and Europeans. And that's not good. This has just been beaten into them since they were little kids, and they are not going to give that up. And it's one does not want to acknowledge Schadenfreude, but the fact that these university administrators have been pushing this stuff, and the liberal donors and the whole liberal establishment has been pushing this stuff for decades. Now that they're seeing the fruit of their efforts, I don't want to interrupt them. That's what I'm saying. I don't feel like we should interrupt. That was a good man. And if you want more clips and episodes and interviews, go ring that bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.